Hey guys, welcome to Flat Top King. Hey, this has to be potato number 42. We're trying to perfect homemade hash browns on the griddle. If you guys want to see our mess ups and our perfections and how we actually decided to do it, here we go. Crispy hash browns from fresh, real, no BS potatoes. We have been down this rabbit hole a lot. Not only have we done crispy hash browns on the griddle, we did 3 different varieties. Then we did crispy hash browns on the griddle, 5 different varieties, because so many people requested that we do dehydrated. We did that and had fantastic results. Through all the years of cooking on the griddle, I have actually never preferred a fresh grated hash brown on the griddle. Today, I still don't think that changes, but I do think that we can create a fantastic product to help you get over the edge. We see the comments all the time. Matter of fact, it was just posted in the Facebook group that we offer, the Griddle group on Facebook, how to create better hash browns from scratch. And it really comes down to this. We've probably been over, by now, 50 potatoes, bags, individuals, you name it. We have done everything from how often do you strain them, the size of the potato, do you rinse them, do you not rinse them, do you squeeze them, do you not squeeze them, do you brine them, do you not brine them, what oils to use. And we didn't film none of that. Some we did, and we're going to show you through the video. Some we didn't, because we just flat out knew that that was just not the right way to go. But we had to go down that hole just to double check our opinions. What it's come down to is basically my wife has an opinion and I have an opinion, which means one thing. There's no right or wrong way. It's basically a personal preference. So today we're going to show you how to make fantastic hash browns. Probably going to show you a couple ways not to do it. And then we're going to show you the common tools needed to perfect your crispy homemade hash browns. Our first recommendation that we can give you is the actual equipment to grate your potatoes. There's really about 2 different options. You can have a machine or you can have the hand grater. We actually prefer the hand grater. While we were hand grating the potatoes, we found that the machine texture was just a little bit too fine. And when you're putting that into hash browns, it didn't necessarily want us to go back for more. The texture was off. And that's what crispy hash browns is all about. The crispy exterior texture along with that fluffy texture on the inside. So to get started, we're going to do everything in single portions. This is a small potato. Honestly, I'm not anal about peeling. I don't get every single thing off. Not a big deal. The large side of your box grater. And you're going to have to apply some pressure. Applying pressure allows your chunks to be just as the max. Of course, you can't go as large as you want, but it gives you the max effort. If you're only going lightly, then your potato becomes smaller. Then you venture off in that machine style. And that's something that we both didn't prefer. Recommendation number 2. We're going to have 2 different products on the griddle at the same time because ultimately she liked one and I liked one. Every other product that we put on the griddle, we both looked at each other and said we need to do more testing. What we came to find was we both agreed that although she liked it a certain way and I liked it a certain way, it was so similar that we agreed that that's good enough for us. Number 2, we're going to only rinse this one time. We're just going to cover enough water up to the top of the potatoes, let it sit for about a minute, and then drain it. The starch left over is actually what keeps the potato together. You think about cornstarch, you think about potato starch, it's the same idea. Doesn't really matter if your potatoes are super washed, which is basically very clear water after the washing process, or if it's just barely washed and you have a little bit of starch left over. You see the cloudiness of the potatoes and the oxidation and the browning. Make sure that water's all over it and then just drain it. Number 3 on the list is how we dry them. We actually prefer a tea towel over paper towels. And there's actually one thing to mention. I did not find in my testing that wringing the potatoes out was the best thing. I found like wringing them out made them gummy. I did not like that at all. That's a personal preference. We prefer just a tea towel, spread them out extremely thin, and then we just fold the tea towel up, and that absorbs the moisture. So this is a clean tea towel, and just fold it up just like this. The towel absorbs the moisture for you. And you can actually sit this in the refrigerator if you needed to for a few hours. Mine never turned brown or anything as long as they're like that. All right, we're gonna do the potato exactly the same way. The only difference is you're gonna follow me inside the kitchen and then we're gonna rinse it completely clear. I want you to see the difference in the water. First rinse. See the color of the water, how cloudy it is? You're rinsing that starch off. So there's one. A little less cloudy. See the bubbles? That's from your starch as well. Just moving the potatoes around just a little bit. You see how much clearer the water is? Way less bubbles. So that's completely clear. If you want to. So now that we have our 2 test ones, which these are going to be the final product, we're going to put these in the refrigerator. I'm going to go ahead and grate maybe 3 potatoes worth because I want to show you some mistakes. These potatoes are going to be peeled, grated, rinsed all the way through, 100% rinsed all the way through 3 times, and then we can show you the mistakes. While our griddle is heating up, I just want to mention this. Through our process of testing, I also tested just about all the oils that I typically use. Everything from tallow to ghee to butter and from avocado oil or peanut oil. This is not a health sermon. Whatever oil you decide to use, that's fine. I found that there's really no significant change in the hash browns besides butter. Butter seemed to be, if you want to put 1 portion down, I thought it was fine. But if you're rotating the whole griddle out and using multiple, I found like the butter on the griddle would eventually burn. So if you're doing a lot of hash browns, I'd kind of stay away from butter. You can add butter to it. We've done that before. So this is not a health thing. So when you say seeds oil suck or you should use tallow or what, that's not what this is about. Crispy hash browns. Whatever oil you decide to use is up to you. So this right here is going to be our mistake pile. You can see that the potatoes are extremely individualized, no starch left over, very dry. So that's going to be what we're going to be working with. The first thing up that I want to show you, and I'm not going to show you the whole cooking process, is too low of temp on the griddle. We have a temperature grill chart. So you're seeing right there, it's about 275. It even says it right here. Hash browns and potatoes, 375 to 425. One trick to that is how your griddle operates. I would prefer you to go up a little bit higher, maybe to 400 to 425, because once you put the hash browns on there, your potatoes, you're going to drop the griddle temp. Just like deep frying. If your target's 350 and you add something in there, it's going to lower the oil. So if you hit 375 when your temp's supposed to be 350, when the oil drops, you don't have that large of a drop when you're trying to find that sweet zone to fry in. Same thing with the griddle, right? So that's what we're going to show you. So we're going to show you 300-ish. Little pool of oil. The next mistake I'm going to show you, see the difference in zone cooking, how this was about 300 and this is 430. A hair hot, but it's going to be fine. If you overshoot your temps on the griddle, the easiest way to take care of it, if I can find my dough scraper, just a touch of water. And I'm not talking about a lot, just a little bit where you're going to be frying. Cool that temperature down. A little goes a long ways, and look at the difference. Already 400 degrees. That's why I was telling you that when you add your potatoes, you're going to take some of that heat away. A little bit of oil. The next mistake is going to be too much potatoes. Okay, here is my solution. Regardless of what spatula you have, you only have X amount of inches to work with. We all have that problem. When we're talking about omelets, it's the same idea. Sometimes you see these large omelets and they flip them and they kind of rip on the edge, is because their spatula is not supporting the whole thing. Anytime I make an omelet, that's kind of like my guide, okay? See that line right there? I do it quite often. You guys just don't see it. That's how large I want my egg to be when I flip it, okay? So that way it fits firmly on the spatula. Same thing with hash browns. I know you want a bunch of hash browns, but I'd much rather you have 2 batches of hash browns this size than the one large size hash brown. That's what I'm going to show you right here. See the size of the spatula? A little bit of oil down on this side. Last but not least, one of the most common problems flipping too early, not having the patience. Working right here. So we're talking about too low of a temp. Our griddle's on low. We put it down on there about 325 degrees. The griddle's climbed to barely 378, somewhere through there. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like. See the light color? You gotta remember, when you're frying a potato, especially a fresh potato, it's all about heat. If you notice, there's not enough heat to really fry this, even though you're in the 350 to 375 zone. Once you hit that temperature and add the hash brown, it really zaps the temperature away. You guys saw that when I added the water. So you can imagine this griddle is probably hovering around 300 for a long period of time as it started climbing. As your potatoes cook, your griddle will climb, but you're talking about wasted time versus what your hash browns on there. Then you actually overcook your hash browns to try to get them crispy. You notice how there's browning around the hash browns? That's a telltale sign. The problem is, since this one's called flipping too early, remember this one's too low of a temp, and this one had a higher temp, but you're in a rush and you want to flip it. And this is what happens. Same thing, right? These two are basically in the same category, and that's the result. You're not allowing that potato to fry. It's not ready. If I'm going to show you how to do it right, we need to take a little bit more time, and when I flip it, you're going to notice that some of it's not going to flip because of the size of the spatula. One mistake that we're not going to demonstrate, but we found in our testing, this is a personal opinion, we found that doming and weights did not help. It actually hindered, because once you put a weight on there, you would lift the weight up and be full of moisture. The moisture has no place to escape. Not all domes have a vent. Okay, let me show you these three. This has a vent for the moisture to escape. So does my Traeger. The Weber does not have a vent. So once again, you're trapping all that moisture in there. That condensation comes up, creates moisture, and now you're steaming your hash brown versus crispy. If you look here, all this moisture is coming up, and that's what you want. You're trying to get that moisture to escape so you can fry your hash brown. Let me show you the honest truth about flat top grilling temperatures. 370 degrees. When we put this down, we're hitting about 410. So I know everybody wants a gun. I understand that. But although you might think you're cooking at 425, 375, 450, that's why I try to stay away from as much as possible, because honestly, you're nowhere near it. And this is a direct result. We're only at 350, 375 for the potatoes because it zaps so much heat. Now granted, I've only got it on a low, but if not, your griddle's going to climb. So what I'm going to do now, this is the one that's too large, okay? You bring your spatula in. That's not what I wanted to do, but it gets you the idea.
Too many hash browns.
Yeah, too many hash browns.
Too big a pile.
A lot of times it hangs over the edge and you see a lot of that left over. Okay? See if we can actually do this the right way. Either way, the point is, too much hash browns but not the size of your spatula can result in you breaking your hash browns. I actually don't care if my hash browns are broke. Not at all. It doesn't bother me, but I know it bothers some. So there's your three common problems that I think when people comment, they're asking for. How to keep your hash browns together, too low of temperature, and you're flipping them too early. All right, this is the triple washed. I really don't know how else to say it. Completely dried out. This is on the right side of the griddle, since I'm always right and I'm right-handed. I like the triple wash. This is about 420. The one thing I think we both agreed on through all the testing was more oil was not always better. What do I mean by that? We actually found that some of the potatoes were too greasy. You add too much oil, they absorb a ton of oil. And the next thing you know, it's a cross between crispy and oily. And we didn't necessarily like that. These are the first potatoes, after about 50 potatoes we've had, that's turned on us. I even said in the video, none of the potatoes turned on us, and look at the difference. I have no idea why. Now granted, this was not rinsed as much. Maybe it has something to do with the chemicals in the potatoes when they...
The starch?
It could, I don't know, but we had other ones that we didn't rinse. I'm done testing potatoes. I'm not going back and figure out why they browned and why they didn't. I'm potatoed out. This one, it comes from preference. I kind of feel like the perfect hash brown, in my opinion, is almost like the idea of a smash burger you make on the griddle, okay? You take the smash burger, you smash it down. What you're looking for is that Maillard reaction on the bottom. Once you flip it, your burger's cooked so much through, probably 80% through the way, that you really don't have a lot of time to keep it on the griddle to get that other side Maillard reaction, okay? Once you flip it, you typically add cheese, you stack it. It's very fast paced. Although it takes a long time to get these potatoes crispy, you'll notice that you're going to cook it for a lot longer on one side than you will the other. If that other side continues to cook as long, I feel like it's just a ton of grease. And then it creates the greasy effect of the hash browns, which is something we do not prefer. So my idea for a great hash brown, personal opinion, is almost the idea of the smash burger. Let it cook a long ways on the first side. You can see the moisture escaping. That's all that steam from the potatoes. And when you flip it, you don't have to worry about re-oiling and stuff like that because that's not your presentation side. It eliminates a lot of the oil that goes into the potatoes, and I think it gives a better product. One little trick I've been doing is just sliding the potatoes over just a little bit to pick up the heat from the next part of the griddle, right? Because if that side of the griddle, if this part of the griddle right here has reduced a lot of heat, this side has not. You can pick up a lot of heat by going back and forth. So this is the one with a lot more starch in it. Nice and crispy. This is the one that's been washed 3 times.
Also nice and crispy.
Yep. Like I said, she liked the one with the starch. I like the one that was rinsed completely. It's just a mouthfeel. But ultimately, you see the kind of result that we're getting. This, to me, is perfect hash browns. I like them crispy. Now, if you don't like them as crispy as we do, obviously you'd flip them earlier. You know, we're just talking about what we like. Keeping it the size of the spatula helps. From the mini potatoes that we did, this is exactly what we found out. That when you don't rinse your potato as much, the starch actually aids in browning, which makes sense. This is no different than the results that we found. There's that light medium brown right there. And really it's just a texture difference. Like I said, I didn't cook the bottom too long because then they just get greasy. Same result that we found. So anytime we try to do a test, we try to replicate the goods and the bads. This was replicated exactly the same way. You want to take a bite?
Yep.
There's not much difference, but I still prefer the triple wash than I do the...
This was our pile of mistakes that
yeah,
we
the kids
made for
will love
you.
that. So that's triple washed. Same thing that we found. The potatoes on the outside are extremely crispy.
That's good.
I didn't cook the other side near as long. And I didn't add more grease to the griddle either. I just flipped them naturally.
Very briefly washed.
One time. Does your answer still hold true?
Yep. I still prefer these.
That's crazy.
Do you still prefer those?
The question is, do you still prefer these over the hash browns that we typically do out of the refrigerator section or dehydrated?
No.
Or you don't either?
No, I still prefer the refrigerated bagged. Simply Potatoes is my winner, the bagged.
It's the texture, it's convenience, and honestly, I like it better. I think the texture holds up more.
Which one do you like better?
Out of these two or just in general?
No, out of all the different potato options.
The refrigerated, Simply Fresh. I like dehydrated. I'd have to make dehydrated again, but I think dehydrated.
Dehydrated is your favorite dehydrated potatoes?
Yeah. One tip, if you guys get frozen hash browns out of the bag, thaw those out completely the night before. Don't put them on your griddle frozen. You're going to zap the heat away. By the time your heat builds, you just got to mush. Take their frozen hash browns. I know they say you can put them in a skillet or on a griddle. I would recommend not doing it. I would just take out the portions, break it up a little bit, and thaw out the back completely. That when you come out here, you have like basically refrigerated style hash browns. But that's so even through what, 50-something potatoes now?
We have made, I've eaten a ton of carbs in the last week.
I don't even want to eat another bite. But the point is everything stood true today. Today was the day. I still do not prefer them, although they are great. I just like other things better. Regardless of what you say chemically wise or convenience wise or price wise, it's just a personal preference. If you guys are interested, hit that join button down below. It's a membership program. We thank each and every one of you for taking time for doing so. Also, don't forget, on theflattopking.com, you can print out this for free griddle temperature chart. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to press that subscribe button, pound the notification button, share it with your friends. Hashbrowns 101. Hopefully you learn something. No, I can't do it.